start, we are going to introduce the Te Folafolau, which is in the Humboldt Forum. And I'm not doing this on my own. I'm actually going to be joined in this space by Vaikawi. Could you please stand up? Of Te Waka Island. And also Delcy Bejibosi, who's also here, also from Taumako. And finally, Mimi George from Kauai Island. I'm going to add here the more formal introductions will follow later on. Yes, excuse me. That was just because the formal presentations are going to be, a formal introduction is going to happen later on. So that's just for the introduction of the Te Alo. Yeah. And my name is Laura Böhm. I'm from Germany and I'm with the University of Potsdam team. Am I going to turn this on or? All right. For my part of this little introduction, I'm going to talk about the acquisition context of manga nefu. This is the Te Folafolau, which is held in the Humboldt Forum. And I'm a student assistant at the University of Potsdam, and I was helping to prepare and organize this event. And that also meant going through and citing collections data that was kindly sent to us by Dorothea Dieters, who's the curator of the Pacific Department at the Ethnological Museum in Berlin. And I was not doing this on my own, I was doing this with my colleague Lena, and we were trying to bring very diverse sets of data together, trying to bring information held in lists of objects, acquisition registers, image descriptions, index cards, but also collection infos, all into conversation with each other to figure out more or find out more details about the acquisition context. I mean, there is something known, but we really wanted to get the details, and some of that we succeeded in, but there are also other question marks, obviously. So I have to start with Gerd Koch, who became the custodian of the Pacific Department at the Ethnological Museum in 1957. And he undertook what he or the museum termed Santa Cruz expedition, which started in October 1966, and he came back in March 1967. And in 1966, he first participated in the 11th Pacific Science Congress in Tokyo before making his way to Papua New Guinea, specifically the Gazelle Peninsula in New Britain, before then traveling to the Timuto province, specifically to the Reef Islands. And during his 6-month stay in the Reef Islands, he traveled and visited quite a couple of places, quite a couple of islands. But the first stop he made was in Pilini. And on November 1966, he made a short trip to Mifiluli. And there we can only see that from the image descriptions. He took photos of the Te Alo that he later on also purchased for the museum that you can see here on the right, and I might be blocking that actually. That was also the Te Alo, by the way, that was also navigated by the master navigator Basil Tevake. But there's no further information, if any conversations were had during that time about a future purchase. That's all open to speculation. But what we can say is that on November 26, 1966, the image descriptions on the index cards say that the Te Alo was sailed from Nifiloli to Pilini and arrived there. And it must have been some sort of drop-off situation because in the way again, like I'm not sure, can you see that part here? They can't be moved. I'm sorry, but there is, maybe you can do that later on somehow. There's another Te Alo for paddling strapped on the Te Alo. Maybe it can be seen up here. And the sailors took the Te Alo and sailed and paddled back to Nifiloli pretty much after the drop-off happened. And then 2 days later, Koch makes a comment that, and I quote, "the puki has been purchased for Berlin." And that's the only context that we're getting here. There's not any, like there's not a specific date given, not the circumstances, nor whether there was a specific person the transaction was made with. So that's all left open. But the following days, and the pictures of the following days indicate that preparations for the transport of the Te Alo were made, were started straight away. So Koch, for example, takes lots of inventory photographs, and the people of Pilini, and specifically also Chief John of Pilini, help in producing and then applying lime to the Te Alo for the long voyage to Germany. And on December 21, 1966, the Te Alo is then boarded on a motor ship called Cape Torrens and is brought to Honiara. Koch continues with his expedition, and on December 28, 1966, he's on Whenua at a place called Tanga, where he films, and that film is still in the TIV, I believe, in Hanover, and films how the people of Tanga sail their Te Alo. And he describes in that index card entry that the sail is immaculate, and that he will buy or board the sail for the Te Alo that he purchased for Berlin. And after looking at the sail on Tuesday, that is actually on the Te Alo, we believe that it might actually be that particular sail here and not the original one. Right, Koch finishes his expedition, and on March 6, 1967, he arrives in Honiara, where the Te Alo is still in the port because 2 crates still have to be built before it can be shipped to Germany on board a cargo ship. We tried to figure out how much Koch paid for the Te Alo, but all we could find as an entry in the acquisition register was this sort of convolute of 773 items that Koch brought back and paid for from New Guinea and also the Santa Cruz Islands province. And since the catalogue number of the boat is, as you can see down here, VI 48850A, this is part of that convolute. And Koch paid the sum of 10,961 German mark at the time. And if you look at what this would cost, what the amount would be in euro, this would be 23,348 euros or 24,986 US dollars today. The Te Alo, when it arrived, it basically was exhibited in the South Sea exhibition at the Museum für Völkerkunde in Dahlem, and straight away, and then as of 2018, it has been moved to the boat hall of the Humboldt Forum. And that is my part, and now I want to invite Luke, Betty, and Mimi to the stage.
Okay, good afternoon. Yeah, Jahela boy, Katoa, Amatua, Nohino, Berlin. Good afternoon to all the men and women of Berlin. So glad to stand in front of you today. Coming from a very small island, the Solomons, with no light, no power, with no source, no speaker, no. So it's like a very high technology in front of me. And either these or you can have one of these if you would prefer to move. Yeah, you've seen this high technology, like no, it's a new thing for an islander boy or islander man to stand in front of very big building and no. Yeah, thank Lorna. And just contribute to what Lorna said about Te Alo. Yeah, before I go to my present, I think I got some. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, about the Te Alo that was in the museum. If you look here, we got that Tamaka have three types of canoe. On your far right, on your right side, that's what we call Te Alo. Te Alo used to be you used to paddle, you go out fishing, you go go surfing or go to the other side of the island to take coconut or get to your garden. So that's Te Alo. And in the middle is what we call Te Alo Hoholau. Te Alo Hoholau means that it was a Te Alo. It was holau because they put a shell, and the sailing is for holau. So that's where the museum, they said that a Te Alo holau, so it's a Te Alo. Behind me is what we call Te Puke. Te Puke is for long range, for ocean going. And the difference that they make a racer box here to make more higher from the waves. Look at the Te Alo holau, the one that in the museum here. Their trigger was mounted on top of the main vaca. So that's what we have in the museum. So I was so glad when I saw, Anyal have Mateus, like I feel emotion. Like how lovely you Berlin been keeping our vaca inside the museum here. And this looks back what our forefathers been done, no? How struggle are they? You seen those vaca to travel, like me flying here by plane, take a day. While we are sailing between islands, take days and days and hours under those rafts. You seen those craft, very dangerous, and for you, for you to keep one in the museum is really, and it will be a big story for me when I go back home. I got plenty of photos, and yeah, so I'm so glad to have that Te Alo in the Berlin Museum here at Potsdam. Yeah, so it was portrayed. I was born in 1969, in October 1969, St. Luke's Day. So they named me Luke because I was born in St. Luke. So in 1969, and the Te Alo hoholau in the museum was built according to the record 68. So it was older than me. So yesterday, we tried to open up the shell, and we look at it, take the measurement, and it's still good. So this, I'm just thinking, like how professional these people are keeping such a material that's made out of pandanus leaf, a but a plant that if you keep it in the open, it will not take 2 or 3 weeks, and we will go back to the earth. And everything that nature gave us, it must go back to it. So this was designed, but how much long was kept here is like a very this surprise, and the technology that we have here on the environment for keeping that cell. Yeah, Laura, so happy that yeah. So that's about the model, the Te Alo Oholau that we have here in Berlin, the museum. Yeah, so that's the difference, Te Puke and Te Alo. So if anyone happens to go to the, but this record there, they call it Te Puke, because we used to sell those vaka to our neighboring islands. So they only knew about Te Puke, what they're selling from a distance. So we used this on sale. As Lorna said, I saw one of her picture. They put the Te Alo on top of the Te Puke. So they sell those alo to the people of Santa Cruz and the Reef Islands, Utupa, and Tikopia, for them to go out fishing, but they are not people were sailing. So one of the slides I will show to you, you will see how people of Tamako selling those vaka to our neighboring island. So like Tamako is a supplier, a manufacturer of vaka for island, but they are not sailing. So I think I have to go to satisfied with that, or any question about before I go to my presentation.
Sorry for this look. We forgot to talk about this properly in the beginning, and so we feel we haven't introduced you properly as everybody else who's on this panel, because there's miscommunication on our part. You're doing everything beautifully, but I would ask Laura to come back to the stage and introduce all the members of the panel. Oh, Lina, sorry, all the members of the panel now, so you can speak properly.
Yeah, thank you, Luke. And you already met him, but I'm just going to introduce him officially, like Laura did with Zeta. So Luke already said when he was born, but yeah, so Luke O'Grady Vaikawi helped us in the last few days, also navigating a large group of people through the busy streets of Berlin and through the public transport. So he's a born navigator. He was born and raised on Tamako, where he heard ancient stories and was taught skills, methods, and ecological knowledge from experts of ancestral voyaging knowledge. And to enable a continuation of passing on this knowledge, Luke assisted his grandfather, Colosso Kawaya, to start and carry out the Waka Tomako project in the 1990s with the aim to train a new generation to build voyaging vessels and navigate using only ancestral designs, materials, methods, and tools. Before his retirement, Luke also commanded Solomon Islands Maritime Police and initiated international marine resource monitoring and safety programs of Solomon Islands, where he puts his learned knowledge into practice. After his retirement, Luke dedicated himself to the documentation and preservation of cultural knowledge and education of the next generation in founding the Holau Waka Taumako Association. The association aims to benefit the people of Taumako in restoring and keeping alive the custom voyaging canoes, storytelling, arts and craft in weaving. Luke also shares his knowledge internationally in holding presentations in Guam, the Pacific Northwest of Canada and the US, and today here with us in Berlin. Thank you, Luke.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going. But you got to start. Thank you once again. Yeah, as I said, it's something I will share with you on the a topic of the ancestral network for culture and survival. Yeah, as I said today, I was from Taumago, one of the small islands that are in the Solomon Islands. We live by the ocean. We born by the ocean. We use the coast as a playground, the sea as our playground. So most of times we are now at sea. So that's why we have a vaca to move around. So yeah, so glad to stand in front of you and tell you more about where I came from and what people in the part of the world are doing in terms of voyaging. Yeah, that's a Solomon Islands. Solomon Islands is a country with 6 big islands, and it's about 900 small islands in an ocean of 1.5 million square kilometers of waters. And Solomon Islands is occupied by Melanesians and Polynesians who speaks more than 80 languages and who have different cultures and way of living. And in Temotu, just behind me, this is where I come from, we have Polynesian and Melanesian living in Temotu province. That's part of the, so we are very isolated from the rest of the country. And the council ships visit us twice a year, end of the year, bringing people come on leave. In January, can pick them back. And the whole year with the snow. So that's why some of our, most of our students, when they go out to their studies on those big islands, the country, they will come back after 3 years after finish their year 9, but they cannot come back to their land because no transport take them back. So they spend their time at schools, so that's why I'm thinking for reviving back the traditional canoe. If I can help bring our people from the small island of Taumaco, this one here, this island called the Santa Cruz, you have an airstrip here. So if the vaca can bring the students to the Santa Cruz and get an aircraft to the city for their studies. But was we really find a hard time at that part of the country. See, that's the new technology, man from the village that know how to press this thing. Yeah, so as I said, there's 3 types of vaca we had, Tealo, Tealo Hoholau, and Tepuke. The name Tepuke was given because according to the history of Taumaco, the vaca was built in the jungle. And Betty will say more about that one. And the spirit or the god of the jungle, or the bush, say to Lata, you build your canoe inside the bush, don't show into anyone. I say it's an appreciation that Lata helps her. So she guided Lata to one of the goats, goat of forest. Her name is Hinora, and Hinora saw Lata how to build, and that's the design that Hinora gave. So the boat was built in the jungle, and when it's finished, Hinora make the rain, and the boat was floated down, and that's where it got a name Puke. Puke in our language means floating down. So Lata named his vaca Tepuke, was in our language, everything started with Te the tangata, the new, the ika, so that's Te Puke. So that's where the name Te Puke come from. So it's just bigger, and it's kind of go make an ocean going voyage. Yeah, so this is all the types. So the vakas was made of traditional local materials, and Lata was the builder, and back in the village we say he was a designer. Then you have the great voyaging. You see those vakas. These vakas are safe for the environment, and the economically sustained in this time of very high inflation and high fuel back in the islands. What I would say, one liter in Solomon's, about $15 Solomon's. I don't know how much in Canada. So the fuel there's very expensive. So I'm thinking that by reviving this canoe as a means of transport will sustain us in terms of inflations of the prices back in the country. Which one? Excuse me, so I'm not appear on the screen. Okay, I get it. Yeah, so as I said, this vakas was built mainly on local materials, and it is built from local bush materials, and it's environmental friendly to the land and to the ocean. This is the photo that I took yesterday from the museum, and the tree that we built, the vaka, actually it's not a very hard wood. It was the tree was selected thousands of years ago, hundreds of years back. That's because the arch that they used to to build to carve the wood is very it's blank, made of stone and cells. So that's why they have that tree for the vaka. But looking at how they was preserving this in the museums, like very long time back, 68, maybe it's been 67 till now. The wood is still healthy. The cell itself was very remarkable. Like it's a surprise for me. So here's the map of the region. So our islands are separation distance by the ocean, and the oceans are shown as bridges us. We use the ocean for sailing, for we trade, we communicate, and as I said, we are building vakas for other islands, and we ship it through the ocean. It is during our sailing that we observe the ocean, and we understand about the ocean, and we feel about the ocean, and the feeling of the unseen spirit of the ocean when we travel, and we feel the connection with the ocean. But we didn't fully understand about the ocean. Back in Tomago, the ocean itself is part of our family. Like we use the ocean most of our time. Our life traveling in a deep ocean is it's part of our culture. And now we're in the world like our sisters Lata did many years ago. So this is a same background that if we cannot make voyages to other islands, we will die. And the ocean will die too if we're not using the ocean. And when the ocean is dying, back then our culture would say the planet will die. We also be dying. So that's what our back the village people, the old people saying. So they encourage us to do more sailing and respect the ocean and be with the ocean. Yeah, in Tamago, where I live, the ocean was held with honor. Like we respect the ocean. We pride of the ocean. We respect the ocean. As a result, as we connect ourselves, the firstborn child of our family, we gave the code to the god of the ocean, or Tesua or Moana. We greet the ocean on our journeys by performing some rituals to our ancestors, to the spirits of the land, spirits of the sky, and spirit of the ocean. And the ocean is like, it's a very much wealth for us in the islands in terms of trading and exchange of goods and a small vaca, tealo. And we also, the oceans like bringing us to visit our relatives and friends in the other islands. We are trying our best nowadays to control the issue of plants and parts of the ocean, but we have a little bit understanding about the environment, about the plant. So, but nevertheless, so we should, by Tamago, we are trying to protect our islands with the knowledge, little bit knowledge that we had about the environment and how we live on those islands. And looking at the ocean, we try to apply to protect, to protect and try to educate the children about the ocean, not to polluting. So, but we are not fully understand. So, although I'm one who tried to to pass the knowledge to the youth, but like most of the youth, they brought up from the village, they didn't experience the world. So when it says something about technology, they don't understand. Was they didn't touch any mobile phone, they didn't touch, and so like it's hard for for us to pass the messages to the youth in the islands. Our forefathers have been traveling these islands many miles across the ocean on a traditional vaca to trade, to make friendship, through the exchange of goods and tapa cloth. And also selling the traditional vaca to other islands. They travel to visit to visit the relatives from other islands. They travel to find wives, on nearby islands. They try to find wives for the boy, or for the children, and make friends. They used to sell, this is the route that the islands that are nearby us. They used to sell to from Taumako up there, sell down to a reef. It take about 13 hours. They sell the routine up to Vanuatu, New Hebrides, is what they called before. So they keep on selling around these islands until the British looking after the islands, and the passport system was introduced, and the British people have no passport to not across the maritime border. So that's when they stopped. So when they stopped sailing because they have no passport and government policies, and then that's when the building of those vacas was slowly down until today we start to revive it. So today, our association, the Ara Vaka Moana Association, is in a plan to reconnect with our Pacific boat builders and trading sellers. Try to revive our canoe and try to make understanding, sharing knowledge on safe navigation and building boats to be safe. So the Ara Vaka Moana, our plan now is to try to make with our friends, which we made last 2 weeks. And like 2 weeks for us, like we've been a year together. We know each other. So the Ara Vaka Moana plan is to try to to get close to these friends from the Pacific. We connect to them from the Fijian Drua in Fiji, from the 500 cells in Micronesia and Japan, Salau from PNG, and the Pacific Society in Hawaii. If we can connect, we can make an understanding on how to improve our vakas and how to understand more on safe navigation of our vakas and how to share ideas together and in terms of like food, relationship and protocols and and other things that we think that we can share with each other. Was in my own understanding and believe that even for the whole of Tamara, like it's too little understanding for me to understand. But if I make a good communication, a good network with those my brothers here, then like before I sail to Fiji, I can contact him and here Fiji can advise me more on what I should prepare before I reach Fiji, or he can help me on the way to Fiji. So it's my plan to make a good network with those very smart navigators here, the very very powerful people in the ocean, and they know the ocean more. Yeah, in Tamago, a traditional way of survival is of course the terms of agriculture and fishing. That's the only means in the small islands. Fishing is one of the main source of proteins in the Solomons. With our own traditional fishing techniques. And this techniques is like traditionally we pass on the fishing techniques from our sons to the next generation, as a means of survival. When I was a boy, the first thing they gave me a bow and arrow, and they saw me to go out to the sea and shoot the fish, and shoot the bait, climb the coconut, climb the breadfruit. So in the ocean, that's what we used to have. It's a technique that every family need to pass that hunting technique to our children. Yeah, as you can put here, 4 skills from islands, 4 skills from a land and sea, and now rapidly